peace, power, and love. Once again, before the sun comes up, Humam Abdulmalik with Blackanized International Nubian Consciousness. Conscious just moves. Talking from the chambers of the pyramid of my mind and accumulation of information from ancestors and our black scientists pertaining to things that help us grow and become united, organized for the purpose of dealing with foundation of an infrastructure in this society that we find ourselves in now, in this political climate, in the middle of winter in America. We as a people, spiritually, economically, educationally, all aspects of humanity has to come together in order for us to become stable in this unstable paradigm that we find ourselves in at this day and time. People that's in the position of leadership, that's running this country in the highest seat in the office, as cabinet members, it's shameful. It's shameful for the American citizenship to haven't even allowed us to get this far. But when you are who you are and believe what you believe, then that's how it be. And I was saying that I was going to bring that information about Valentine's holiday, hollow, unholy holiday that we practice redundantly every year, year after year, like all the other holidays. The information I got is that it goes back to the 3rd century A.D. when two brothers were put to death, martyred, whose name was Valentine. And it was the Catholic Church. What was this brother's name? It was two people with the same name, Valentine, killed around this time, the 14th of the month. It was killed by an emperor named Claudius. He killed two brothers. He was the emperor at the time. He killed the brothers, and later on, Pope Gelasius, he combined them. They made them martyrs, and they named it Saint Valentine's Day for that. But they were already practicing a holiday or practice they did already called Lupercalia. And in that practice, during that time, they would kill an animal, a dog, matter of fact. Kill a dog, take the hair off them, have a group of virgins, and they would beat the virgins with the dog hair, and that would like purify them or something for their chastity or whatever the reason. And then after that, they would pay off, and they would chase them. The men would chase the women, and they would be drunk and merry, having fun, and they catch them, and when they catch them, they have sex all day, of that day, and maybe longer. And that's where it came from, because they was already practicing that in the Roman culture, lupernalia. All you have to look up is Lupercalia. Again, Lupercalia. And the Vatican was behind that. And it was first based on Valentine's Day was based on the murder of two guys that had the name Valentine. And the Pope Gelasius, he combined the practice of Lupernalia and the practice of when they was dealing with Valentine's Day, and brought them together so that they can keep the practice together. On the backside, they give you St. Valentine's Day, or give you Valentine's Day, this so encompassing day of love, and the angel Cupid shooting people with arrows and stuff like that. But on the real side of that, the underlining sign, but they don't tell you nothing about it, is you're practicing Lupernalia, the practice of the wolf clan, or them coming together in orgies, sexual orgies. And that's the reality. You can look it up yourself, find out. They got books on it. You can Google it. It depends on how far and how deep you want to go. But that's the reality of one of the holidays, the backside of it, beginning in the 3rd century A.D. by the Roman Catholic Church. Because of murder and because of pagan practices combined, then we have Valentine's Day. But, the alternative fact. They ain't going to say they be lying, but they'll say the alternative fact. That's what they give us with their story, his lies or his story, because they always derive from stealing something from us. But that time, that belonged to them totally, to the Roman whole concept of things. And I just wanted to share that because I said I was going to do it. But always, I want to be redundant and reiterate our purpose and our aim is for us as a people to come together and to take over our communities. It's like every day, man, it's like with the amalams or shootings and whatever. It's always like an amalam coming and one going, And it's a shame that we got to go through that as a people, especially our youth, which are our future. Them young brothers that be at war with one another, they are our future, next generation of leaders. They got to develop leadership qualities and overcome this insane activity of hurting, maiming, killing each other. Because sometimes people don't get killed through the activity of violence. They become crippled or maimed and be in wheelchairs and stuff like that for the rest of their lives. We got to overcome that and be more conducive to love and peace and understanding of the divine nature that we have based on the pathways of our ancestors and the signs that they left and the information that they left. Because they said truth is etched in stone. It surely is, but they're chipping away at that truth in the places where it's etched in stone at. Not only that, like in Iraq, the same thing. They're destroying the history, blowing it up and chipping it off the wall. In today's Egypt, they're doing the same thing. They're chipping at the information that has us depicted as a melanated people. They'll chip at that and then paint it as a Eurocentric person, and then try to put that in the psychic or in the history or on the caption on the hieroglyphics. And they doing it every day. They over there doing it right now. See, but we already know our history, and it's not a mystery. A lot more of us have to wake up and institute it in our lives so that we can stay alive, so that we can be a community, so that we can control our community. And the only way that we can do that is relearn, rethink, and reshape. We have to be alchemists. We have to be creating things from the substance of another thing. We have to change our heart. We have to change our mind and our thinking, our communication. We have to do all those things in order to get on the pathway that we need to be on as a people. Oh boy, we had some good weather for the last 2 days, and then it's raining out there or something. I know it's kind of wet. I think the temperature has dropped also. So be careful. That's why I ain't never changed my dress. I kept on all my stuff. I always wore my heavy coat. And now it's you're gonna need it, because now it's raining. It's supposed to be getting cold, stuff like that. And activity yesterday was I think it was sponsored by the Ward 8 councilman to bring jobs to an area that has been riddled with violence. About one time, back to back, something like that, maybe about 6 or 7 people were shot in a span of 3 days or 2 days, something like that, in the same area, on the same street. But it brought different government entities up in that area, and they had tables out, and it was trying to sign people up right then and there for employment, or just give them the information that they need for that employment. And that was a good thing in the essence of creating jobs, or having people to be able to work, so to say, for a living, work to live, and by we attaining jobs, therefore we can stop our negative activity in the community. We can kind of come together collectively and pool our resources. And I was thinking about, it's like almost 8 billion people on the planet Earth, man. 8 billion almost. I was thinking, what's the percentage of us in that 8 billion? People of color, melanated people, people of the carbonated universe, with the elements of the universe in our temples, so-called bodies, our disposition of our ancestors by divine nature, by the synergy, or the energy, frequency, and vibration that we get naturally, that we feel naturally. We just got to be able to develop along those lines so that we can control our mind, our thinking, and get our communities back on par, when we could leave our door open and wouldn't have to worry about nobody coming in our house. If they did, they wasn't coming in with any bad intent. It was just like that. We had a family disposition, and we need to get back to that family disposition, and help uplift each other. And we got to do that. Got to. It wouldn't make no sense to be here and don't do anything pertaining to that foundation of building up our people. If you be here for nothing, what purpose have you served? Just to be here. Just be going around the sun, making a revolution around the sun every 365 days. And in those days, you haven't done anything to try to uplift our people, try to unify our people, networking collectively for the purpose or the sole purpose of uplifting our community by first uplifting ourselves through purification. Purification of our thoughts, purification of our conversation, how we communicate, the words we use. Stop using drugs, selling drugs, drinking alcohol, all that stuff that becomes a deterrent in our eternal growth, in our physical growth, mental growth, because we be stably unbalanced when we be intoxicated or on those drugs that give us that unbalanced action. We can't be proactive when we inactive. We have to and got to, in this day and time, to overcome the plots and plans of this charade, of this circus, of this so-called political paradigm that really it seems as though those people, or maybe the main person, has lost his mind and need to recover it, to become, this position of leadership for these, for the United States of hypocrisy, or United States of America, this corporation. It's like it's sickening in one hand, and it's hilarious in the other hand, and it's dangerous if we had three hands. For a person to be in a position of leadership with his demeanor, his actions, his word, his spontaneous lying in front of the public, and he don't even know anything. He don't even know the historical fact that Frederick Douglass been passed, and his press secretary so caught up into him, he don't want to correct the situation, but enhance the lie. And his wife talking about the Native Americans should go back to India. Man, how asinine can we be? Not can we be, but can they be? And we got so many of our people that's following them want to be Negro pins, want to emulate them so much, so deeply, that they become that which they should not be, and that's a Negro pin. And that's the reality of it. Because a lot of us be under robot control. That's mainly our youth. A lot of us walk around with our eyes wide shut. But the worst is those of us who sell our soul knowingly, without hesitation. Because they say, oh, I know the white man, he's in the position to give me a job, and I can hobnob, and I can be like Bob. Just want to be like him because, and overlook your own nature, no matter what. You can't sell your soul for materialistic elevation and leave out your spiritual education, because you become a deterrent to yourself and to the people on the whole, to your people. See, you go against your own culture. That's why you're so confused. And you don't want to extend yourself or help yourself. And helping yourself, I'm talking about helping our community, helping your brothers and sisters who's in need of their help on all levels of their being. just got to make preparation for today in this present state, stemming from yesterday. Trying to project what might be tomorrow, but only we can deal with the now and the past, because the future, it ain't promised. We ain't got to get there. But we prayed to the Creator to allow us to benefit from the understanding of who we are, from the divine prescript that's in us, the DNA, in the temple. This body is the temple that houses the energy of the Creator, the divine energy. We got to realize that. We got to live that and be that in order to establish ourselves once again in society. People say, it's a lot of people that say, we can't do that. We ain't never did. We ain't never unified. We can't do that. And the same thing in Africa. When you talk about the United States of Africa, they say we can't do that. We got too many dialects, too many countries. And then, because Africa is a big place and got like 53 countries in it. You know, like America is the country. You can fit America in Africa. Some other countries like China, Australia, that's 3 of them. Then some other countries that you can pick about 6 or 7 in there within Africa. That's how enormous it is. That's how enormous we are. Once we get out, we become, I'll say, politically correct, for lack of a better word or term. And once we do that, then we can become more Blackanized in order to realize who we are. It's a realization when you develop your international Nubian consciousness, because you're coming together with other people on the planet Earth, networking, trying to establish businesses, entrepreneurship, not only getting jobs, but being creators of your own jobs and businesses. In this day and in this time, in this era of time, where it's more needed than anything else, because we don't know what's going to happen, what it's going to lead to. It was my perception that it would be anarchy, police state, or race war. I lean against race war now because it's still feasible. Because one day all these police and whoever else gonna put their hoods back on. See, they done took them off now. They like a salamander. They have adapted into the shadows of the government system as police, judges, and everything else that they can hide with those titles behind. And it was I had to go pick up my daughter yesterday, right? When I used to go pick her up during the Obama years, I always see about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 police Secret Service cars on, the west end of the White House area, because they got it blocked off. But it used to be about 6 or 7 police cars right there, and the bicycle police congregating and all that. I went across there last night. I didn't see none of them. I just seen a deserted area. And I was wondering, what is the difference in all of that, you know? I wonder what's the difference in that. What you can hear about, maybe they don't want to work for Trump or something like that. I don't know. But a lot of people are rejecting his methodology and his concepts and stuff of that nature. Again, those people that want to, that's going to be practicing Valentine's Day because that's what they do. We got to realize that it comes from 3rd century A.D. It's derived from 2 guys named Valentine that was killed or martyred around that time on the 14th in 3 A.D. And to incorporate in what the Romans already were practicing, called lupinella. It was the practice of like a wolf clan, as I said before, but they would kill a dog and kill another animal, take the hair, and be whipping the women with it. The women supposed to have been virgins, but this whipping would have made sure they was virgin and gave them fertility. And then they would got all drunk and married, right? And then the men try to pay it off with their female counterpart. Then they got to chasing them and catching them, and wherever they caught them, they just started having intercourse with them, cohabitating with them. And they did this for that day and maybe longer. And that again is called Lupinadia. And the Vatican, they created it because of the two martyrs of the two guys named Valentine during 3rd century A.D. Then Pope Gelasius, he was a pope back in that time, 3rd century A.D. He combined the two together like they always do on every holiday. Is an underlying part that we don't know nothing about because they keep it like a mystical art that we can't see it or know it. But now we know the information. But I know that a lot of people will still be practicing, knowing that they be practicing two things. And we shouldn't do that, because most of the holidays are European in essence or from a Roman foundation, because this system is based on the Roman Senate and all that type of stuff. But even though we're in a storm, we're going to weather the storm like we always do. We're gonna rock and we're going to roll and we're going to unfold. But we're going to touch the essence of ourselves. We're going to get connected with ourselves in order to know thyself, to get connected with us and know that this body is a temple and know that the energy in it is of the Creator, what we call God. So therefore, we are God-like here on this planet Earth because of the melanin and all that, a natural fluid that we have that stimulates the pituitary and pineal gland to give you enhancement or so-called open your third eye and things of that nature. This is what we got to do in order to save our children, to save our community, protect our elders. They got 800,000 missing people for body parts, melanin, and sex rings. And mostly of them be us, most of them, but it's all over. That's a pandemic or epidemic for all nationalities. But like I said, we went through the post-slave, this is the post-slave dramatic syndrome that we got to overcome. You know, and we haven't gotten any meaningful help for this syndrome. We just got to get through it on our own. And that's what we got to do. That's what we're going to do. Because we're resilient people. We are strong people. When we face with a problem, in reality, we deal with it. Any obstacle that we run into, we deal with it. A lot of us deal with it in improper ways. They try to medicate it. But we can't do that. When you take a drug, all you're doing is medicating your problem that's going to exist once your high or euphoria comes down. You get off your high, then you're dealing with the same reality, whatever existed that got you to do that. But if you just deal with the obstacle as an obstacle, try to go over it, around it, or through it, or under it. But you got to deal with it. And we have the strength and the ability to do so. I'm still appealing to my young brothers, so-called thugs and gangsters or whatever you want to call them. But Tupac said, you know, he is a thug. But do you know what a real thug is? According to linguistic or according to history, it's said in England or London that when they protest, and they be thugs because they're in political protest, and that's what a thug is. One that protests against the laws, the fraudulent laws and stuff like that in a society so that we can overcome them and establish our own foothold in the building of our own infrastructure. Yeah. I guess what I'm going to do today, being up before the sun once again, as I conveyed words I feel that motivate us in a way that will have us dealing with anything, any obstacles dealing with networking, dealing with trying to develop this infrastructure in love and peace and harmony as a people. We start as the individual, then we come into the collective. We start with ourselves, our family, the community, the country, then the world. We make all the connections and networking to be able to connect to other people of like mind, like thinking minds, and doing the same thing that you're doing. We got to do that. I'm in another portion of the house because I wanted to be by the sanctuary of the ancestors, so get that synergy going, or the vibrations and the frequency. I know there's a couple of people watching, but it doesn't give me any names or anything like that, and it probably be the position of the cameras this morning. But it's all right. It's definitely all right, because whoever out there is by the divine decree that got us connected in the synergy of exchanging information. Even though I'm doing all the talking, but when you are on there, you do interact with me, but I can't see any captions this morning. So it's all right though, because we're in synergy. We're in that spirit of the Creator, on the pathway of our ancestors, that we ain't gonna give up. We are the chosen ones. We are the ones that know in the light of Christ. We are the ones that know who we are. We just got to stimulate and plant seeds. We got to eat the right kind of foods and the right kind of vegetables. And we don't really need to be eating flesh, because we have to, we are live human beings, so we should be eating live food to sustain this live body. Because we're eating dead food is a conflict right there. Eating dead food, with maybe if we eat a lot of pork, we got tapeworms and all that in that. And then our digestive system or digestive tract ain't really, geared for cannibalism. Having them sharp teeth and all that to chew that meat, because if you don't, it's going to clog up in your colon. And clogging up causes mucus, and mucus causes diseases. So with that, I'm going to end this broadcast for this day, and hopefully something was said to stimulate, motivate, or agitate, to bring us together, not push us farther apart, to bring us together to develop our communities. And I'm very tired of seeing ambulance coming from a scene and another one going to a scene. It's just too much shooting in our environment, in our cities, in our streets, that we must overcome. That's why it's an urgent need that we come together and unify and organize. Be more watchful in our community so that nobody can snatch our daughters or son or anything like that. Watch everybody. And if you see a stranger in the community, approach him and ask him what's his business, what he's doing in our community. You might get a lot of flack, but in numbers, and mothers and fathers be out there to back up each other, we won't even have to worry about that, because we're in the connection of the divine energy. The Creator protects us and fortifies us with righteous thinking and righteous action. So I appeal again, once again, to my brothers that's on the street corner that's producing a fraudulent war against each other, against your own neighbor, really. Somebody you've been knowing all your life, and then you take the life that can't come back in this realm. They just gone. They just gone. Then you think about it, then you might be gone to jail or retaliation or whatever. But if we don't have that type of activity in our community, you won't have to worry about that. I guarantee you that. If we don't get high in our community, sell drugs in our community, drink liquor and all that, and purify our being, our temple, then we'll be on the path of development, of righteous development, and we should be on that path and should stay on that path so that we can be who we're supposed to be as a people, as a community, and we can help each other and not exploit one another. So that's what I promote. I promote stop selling drugs, stop using drugs, stop smoking cigarettes, stop drinking liquor, stop criminal activity. I promote us getting a job and helping one another, help each other rise up and then also help us to learn how to manage our money and stuff like that, to become entrepreneurs. But we got to take the first step. First step so that the slave catchers won't have no reason to be in our community, or slave catcher looking to get you or something like that. And also through our healing of each other in brotherly love and understanding, we come together at the table of brotherhood and love and break bread and overcome our idiosyncrasies of hurting each other, of killing each other or maiming one another. We got not only in Ward 8, but every ward of Washington, D.C., every city of the United States of hypocrisy. We got to come together as a people. Every continent on the planet Earth, we got to unite and network and try to get a United States of Africa, because that's where all the minerals at that control everything, the TVs, the radios, the iPhones, and the intelligent phone, everything. Those minerals under the ground on the continent of Africa that control that. We need to get a United States of Africa, and we don't even know what lies under the ground here, because we're the original indigenous people here. We got to unify with all people after we get our house intact, after we come together in a unified, united body. Then we can deal with the other people or other nationalities after we get ourselves together. So I say this day, with the breath of life that's given to us by that ancient, universal, divine energy of the Creator, I say love, peace, love, and power. And another day has come that we must face, and we face it by being a message of hope, a message of righteousness, a light that can be seen, that can shine through our aura, of the energy of the Lord coming from us and on the pathway of our ancestors, being strong, and through self-love and the love of our people, that we make a grand effort to develop, take control over our communities with the help of everybody doing this together. I say again, peace, power, and love. Ashe, Hotep. Assalamu alaikum, peace, peace. For us, with the knowledge from the East, coming and bringing it to this West, and being a light. And being in this political system with no fear. Whatever happens, we just got to be unified and protect one another, no matter who's in office, no matter their agenda, trying to establish a new world order with the Kabul states, the Vatican and England and Washington, D.C. being the Kabul states, 13 families, the RIS and the Federal Reserve, and all those people. No matter what the odds we face, we can face them because we're a divine people. And we've been here through these 400 or 500 years of forced labor and captivity, rapes, burning, lynching, and we still here and we still strong. We got to protect our next generation of leaders. We got to protect our elders from this demonic nature that we're up against, this demonic information and activity and socialization that we're up against. But I'm supposed to have been gone a minute ago, so I'm going to go and let you go, and we'll come back. in this flow, this divine flow tomorrow, though. I say, I love y'all because I love myself, and we enhance my love because it ain't no me, it ain't no I, it's we and us. Until the day we not die, but we transmute to another realm or dimension in the high realms of the energy of our Creator. Love y'all. Peace.